Stanley had left me numerous times to be with his childhood love. At our engagement banquet, once again, he intended to abandon me due to a phone call from that girl. I gently pleaded, holding his hand for the first time, asking him to stay until the ceremony concluded. The venue was packed with friends and family awaiting our appearance on stage. Stanley looked dashing in a spotless white suit, standing tall and handsome. However, his face showed no sign of the joy an engagement should bring. Instead, his brows were knitted in concern over another woman. Impatiently, Stanley loosened his tie and said, "My wife Tina is ill. I need to check on her. You know her health has always been fragile." His excuse was weak, yet it always seemed to work on him. I stubbornly clung to Stanley, unwilling to let go. But how could I retain someone who wanted to leave? "Please, be patient. I promise to make it up to you in the future," I insisted. He firmly shook my hand and walked away, just as he had countless times before, using future promises to dismiss me. Little did he know, our future was no longer together. I lost my memory at the engagement banquet while chasing after Stanley, the groom who had fled. A speeding car struck me, and although I remember everyone except him, I found myself wrapped tightly, resembling a mummy. The doctor informed me that I had several abrasions, but thankfully none were serious. My parents stood beside me, tears streaming down their faces. Stanley is truly irresponsible. How could he abandon the wedding like that? He made us suffer so much, they lamented. Thankfully, nothing severe had happened. Otherwise, they wouldn't have let me go. I looked up, staring blankly at the white ceiling, trying to recall who Stanley was. Before I could make sense of it, my parents' close friends, Uncle Smith and Aunt Smith, entered the room. Aunt Smith began crying, blaming herself for not properly raising her son, which led to Stanley running away from the wedding. Uncle Smith held my hand, saying, "Don't worry, I'll talk to Stanley and help you vent your frustration." "Stanley," they all repeated, insisting he was the reason for my current state. But who was he? Why couldn't I remember anything about him? As I remained silent and expressionless, my parents grew increasingly anxious, asking if I was in pain or needed anything. Aunt Smith and the others kept cursing Stanley. I looked at Aunt Smith, who was relentlessly berating, and asked, "Who is this Stanley you're talking about?" My question stunned everyone in the room. My mother, terrified, called the doctor again for a brain scan. The final diagnosis was temporary amnesia caused by brain damage from the accident. Hearing this, I wondered why I remembered everyone else except Stanley. Perhaps it was because he wasn't important to me anymore. On the second day of my hospitalization, Stanley appeared, brought by the remorseful Uncle and Aunt Smith to give us some space. My parents and Aunt Smith left willingly, and Stanley walked in reluctantly. Seeing me injured in the hospital bed, his brows furrowed with impatience, and a mocking smile played on his lips. "Gil, what trick are you playing now? Trying to deceive me into staying?" Not only did he look ghostly, but he also pretended to have amnesia. "You and my parents, really?" I looked up at him. Despite his charming, movie star-like appearance, his words were anything but pleasant. He sneered, "You're acting like a melodramatic actress. No wonder Tina says you're the most scheming person behind everyone's back. I didn't believe it before, but now I see clearly. Did you know Tina is also in the hospital? She had a heart attack from worrying about your accident. She's in the ICU now, and her condition is worse than yours. She needs my care more than you do." It was clear that Tina was more important to Stanley than I was. That's perfect, I thought. If he didn't care about me, how could I forget him? Then go take care of her, I suggested, but Stanley seemed not to hear me. "What did you say?" he asked. I said, "Since you're so concerned about her, go take care of her," I replied. "My parents are here. There's no need for anyone else's help." Even if he wanted to care for me, I wouldn't accept it. Who would let a stranger take care of them willingly? "You've changed," Stanley sneered. "I'm tired of your constant complaints. It's okay to be angry, but repeating it endlessly is too much." I didn't understand his meaning. How could someone I barely remembered suddenly mean so much? Seeing my silence, Stanley's expression softened. He sat on my bed, trying to hold my hand. The moment our skin touched, I recoiled as if shocked by electricity. His touch was unbearably uncomfortable. "What are you doing? Don't touch me!" Stanley's face darkened. "Gil, I've been showing you respect, and now you won't even let me touch your hand. The next step is calling off the wedding." I stared at Stanley, confused. According to my parents, we never officially got engaged because Stanley left before the ceremony began. We never actually became engaged, so there was no need to break it off. I had completely forgotten him and saw him as a stranger. Stanley's demeanor became even more unpleasant after my comments. He looked deeply into my eyes, trying to detect any signs of deceit, but I genuinely didn't remember him and cared even less. "What can you possibly see?" I said confidently, meeting his gaze. Stanley gave up and sighed, admitting, "Darling, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have ignored your feelings and left during the engagement banquet. I also know you're pretending to have amnesia to make me regret and feel sad. But what can I do? Tina has no one else but me. Her health is poor, and if she falls ill, who will take care of her? Do you want me to ignore someone's life for our engagement? If something serious happens, involving a life between us, can we still be happy in the future?" Listening to Stanley's resolute words, I found them laughable. Although I didn't remember him or what happened between us, I despised him deeply. He seemed to manipulate situations to his advantage. What's this about fearing the engagement ceremony might endanger someone's life? Is he a doctor? If he leaves, will Tina's illness disappear? Can't he call for emergency help? Is he more effective than an ambulance? Stanley didn't notice my change in emotions and thought he had convinced me. He continued, "Darling, I know you're not selfish. You'll forgive me this time. Once you recover, we'll have another, even grander engagement ceremony." His words made me feel sick. Another engagement ceremony? How sure was he that I would agree? I shook my head. "No, not happening. I don't want to continue entangling myself with a man whose mind is so clouded." Stanley froze. "What did you say?" I stared at him, each word deliberate. "No, I don't know you, and I don't want to continue our engagement." Stanley's face darkened further as he stood up, disappointed. "Gil, I always thought you were an open-minded girl, which is why I chose to be with you wholeheartedly. But I didn't expect you to be so jealous and bitter. What's your grudge against Tina? She's been sick since childhood, and I need to care for her. You knew this from the start of our relationship, didn't you?" Damn, he had this attitude from the beginning. Why did I tolerate it? If my hand wasn't hurting, I might have slapped my past foolish self. Stanley continued, "Whether you're pretending to have amnesia or using the accident as a ploy, I can't ignore Tina no matter what. I'm leaving now. Tina could have an emergency at any moment. Think things through and stop being stubborn. I'll come back to find you." With that, Stanley turned and left. I heard Stanley's parents and him engage in another heated argument at the door. Aunt Smith and the others wanted Stanley to care for me, but he insisted on looking after Tina. I pulled the blanket over myself and hid inside. I couldn't stand the bothersome noises outside, especially since my leg was aching. All I wanted was to visit Aunt Smith and the others, letting Stanley look after Tina if he chose to. I didn't require his assistance. The mere idea of a stranger taking care of me made me uneasy. One day, I dozed off, and when I awoke, my mother was watching me with concern. Seeing my lethargic state, she sighed and said, "I'm not sure what's happened to Stanley this time. He's become like this." Just then, Aunt Smith had been urging him to stay and care for you, but he declined, insisting on visiting that illegitimate child from the Jones family. Remember that year when you had a high fever and were unconscious for 3 days and nights? Both your father and I were abroad on business, yet Stanley never left your side, tending to you diligently. I gazed at the chandelier and remarked casually, "Oh, that happened too." My mother nodded, acknowledging how Stanley had been so good to me. After learning about that, I hired a top-notch nurse to look after you. But Stanley remained steadfast, wanting to take care of you himself. Eventually, when you recovered, he fell ill. Isn't he just so foolish? Our family is wealthy and influential. When we're ill, a single phone call summons a team of private doctors and elite nurses to provide the best care. Why did he make himself suffer like this? Seeing me nod, my mother exclaimed in surprise, "Gil, have you really forgotten about Stanley? You don't remember anything?" I looked at her with worry, and she thought I was pretending. In truth, I remembered everyone except Stanley. This amnesia was indeed peculiar. I faced my mother and said earnestly, "Seriously, Mom, I don't remember Stanley at all. He's a complete stranger to me. I just met him earlier, and I find him not only arrogant, but also unintelligent. Please don't bring him up around me anymore." Upon hearing this, my mother sighed and agreed. "All right, if you don't want to talk about him, I won't mention it. But Gil, you need to take care of yourself and recover soon." I responded, "Of course I need to get better. I can't force myself to care for someone who's unrelated to me. It would be unfair." My injury looked severe, but wasn't truly dangerous. After 4 days in the hospital, the doctor discharged me. On that day, I unexpectedly encountered Stanley and Tina there. I hadn't anticipated seeing them at the same hospital. Tina wore a patient gown and was being gently supported by Stanley, who seemed very attentive, almost dependent on him. It was odd no matter how I viewed it. When they noticed me, both showed a brief moment of awkwardness. Unlike Stanley, I recognized Tina as the illegitimate daughter of the Jones family. After her biological mother died, she was brought into the Jones family at 3 years old. However, with so many daughters, she wasn't valued much. In my memory, she was quiet and left little impression. Reflecting on this, I realized I wasn't truly familiar with them, so there was no need for greetings. I began to walk past them, but as I took a few steps, a surprised voice called out from behind me, "Gil, how dare you ignore me?" I turned around, puzzled. "Are we close? Why should I acknowledge you?" Stanley was left speechless. Frustrated by my response, he clenched his teeth and glared fiercely at me, making me seem like the unfeeling woman in this scenario. Stanley opened his mouth to speak, but suddenly Tina started coughing violently. Stanley immediately became anxious and rushed to her side, showing an indescribable tenderness. Observing their harmonious interaction, I realized they no longer had time for me. I lifted my foot to leave, but a voice stopped me. It was Tina. "Gil, I'm sorry," Tina said, clutching her chest. "I know it's because of my weak condition that you and Stanley haven't gotten engaged, but besides Stanley, I have no other friends. Please don't blame Stanley. If you need to blame someone, blame me. I'm truly despicable. If you want to hit or scold me, go ahead, but don't take Stanley away from me. He's my only friend. If he ignores me, I don't know how I'll survive." As Tina grew up, her life in the Jones family became increasingly difficult, which explained why she clung to Stanley, the Smith family heir. I opened my mouth to reassure her. "I won't take Stanley away from you, and I wish them a lifetime of happiness together." But before I could finish, Stanley intervened. "Tina, no one can take me away from you," he said, then looked at me with a warning. "Not even you, Gil." Hearing this, Tina's expression brightened, showing a hint of triumph as she glanced at me. But what was there to celebrate or provoke? I barely remembered Stanley or what he did. Meeting Tina's gaze directly, I paused for a moment. "Since we're friends, it's natural to support each other. Don't worry, I won't interfere with you and Stanley. You need to rest, so let him take care of you." Tina's face lit up with joy as she looked at Stanley happily, but Stanley himself didn't seem as pleased. He bit his lip, frustration evident in his expression as he stared at me, seemingly angry at my generosity. Wasn't his wish for me to stop caring anymore? As Stanley's demeanor worsened, Tina said with a touch of grievance, "Gil, I knew you were still blaming me and saying hurtful things. Please, can you forgive me?" Her words made Stanley realize something. He looked at me as if he saw through me and said, "Gil, you've gone too far. No matter how jealous or resentful you are, there's a limit. Don't you realize that Tina is a patient and can't handle more stress? Please leave us alone." After saying that, Stanley supported Tina and walked away. Watching them leave, I couldn't help but find it amusing. It was Stanley who didn't want me to leave just moments before, and now he wanted me to go. But Stanley, I'm not a dog that you can call after running behind you, I thought to myself as I left, determined never to see him again. During my recovery at home, I had a great time. I indulged in endless snacks and watched countless variety shows and movies. When boredom struck, I played some online games. Once my health improved slightly, my parents arranged for me to go abroad for further treatment. I chose an island nation to enjoy the sunshine and beaches. Even after my skin turned a bronze tan, I still felt restless, so I eventually returned home filled with lingering joy. Upon my arrival, my parents had prepared a special welcoming feast. Aunt and Uncle Smith were also there, apologizing and expressing their regrets. I understood their intentions. Over the years, our family had supported many of the Smith family's projects. They feared I might become angry with Stanley, which could strain the financial ties between our families. However, I don't mix personal issues with business, and I don't even remember who Stanley is. How could I be upset with someone I don't recall? Raising my glass, I assured Uncle Smith there won't be any problems with the cooperation between our families. Uncle Smith looked relieved. What about Stanley? You haven't contacted him during this time. I explained, I can tell he regrets it now, but can you give him another chance? He regrets it. Uncle Smith shook his head. No, just a moment ago I saw Stanley and Tina's social media post where he was making porridge for her. Seeing him cook almost moved me. I smiled and said, as you know, I have amnesia and have forgotten who Stanley is. You don't need to mention him to me anymore. After speaking, Uncle Smith's face turned pale and defeated. I understand, Gil. It's Stanley's own misfortune. He doesn't deserve you. After the welcoming feast, I thought I would never interact with Stanley again. However, that very night I received a call from him. Gil, I gave you a month of cold treatment to reflect, but how can you still act like this? What did you mean by what you said to my parents today? Are you just angry because I didn't attend your welcoming feast? I replied, right. Tina had a stomach ache and suddenly craved the millet porridge I made for her, so I couldn't make it. Her heart condition is delicate, and she needs proper care. Stanley continued, can't you stop being so petty? Call my parents right now and explain yourself. If you're really planning to cut me off, don't blame me for never speaking to you again. Never speaking to me again, huh? Who cares? I thought. Well then, never speak to me again, Gil. I ended the call, blocking Stanley's furious voice. Who has the patience to listen to his nonsense? He's not important to me. He deliberately ignored me for a month to make me reflect on myself. Why is he so confident? Without hesitation, I blocked him entirely. I don't want this jerk contaminating my contact list. Upon my return, I didn't immediately dive back into working at my family's business. My parents were understandably frightened by my recent accident and insisted that I stay home to continue my recovery for a while. Feeling restless and bored at home, I decided to reach out to my best friend. Before long, Lucy showed up in her flashy Lamborghini. Well, Gil, it looks like you've really forgotten about Stanley by contacting me, Lucy remarked. I was in a relationship, I responded. What do you mean? Lucy laughed. You've truly forgotten him, haven't you? From what Lucy explained, I discovered the reality. Ever since I started dating Stanley, he believed that my old friends lacked ambition and prohibited me from seeing them. Consequently, I hadn't been in touch with them for 3 years. This revelation left me stunned. Had I somehow been enchanted? Despite Lucy and her friends coming from wealthy families, they were actively involved in their own businesses. Where was the supposed lack of ambition? Noticing my confusion, Lucy defended me, saying it was better that I had moved on. She had always thought that Stanley and I wouldn't last. Stanley's illegitimate daughter from the Jones family knew she couldn't progress on her own, so she clung to him. Unfortunately, Stanley fell for her and lacked clear boundaries. Since they were so inseparable, Lucy advised me to let them remain together. I nodded in agreement. You're right. I've already allowed them to be together. Lucy tapped the passenger seat. Hop in. I'm taking you to our class reunion. I wasn't particularly enthusiastic. A class reunion? What's so exciting about that? Lucy blinked and laughed. Of course it's fun! I heard Tyler, the campus heartthrob, will be there. He's back from abroad. Tyler? Weren't you supposed to settle overseas? I asked. Actually, he decided to return, Lucy added. And since I didn't respond, he's here too. By the way, he's still considered the most handsome guy at our school, alongside Stanley. Have you forgotten about Stanley? I smiled. I haven't forgotten. How could I? He was the standout figure in the library, his presence unforgettable during debate competitions. Tyler was the beloved star among the college girls, not just handsome, but also incredibly intelligent and hardworking. He excelled academically, achieved amazing athletic feats, and even had a talent for the arts, playing the piano beautifully. In my eyes, he was like an unreachable flower on a high peak, admired from afar. After graduation, he went abroad for further studies, leaving many female alumni heartbroken. I never imagined I'd see him again after all these years. Hearing he's here makes me excited to see how much he's grown. Let's go! The class reunion was far larger than I had anticipated, with almost all the alumni present. Many classmates had achieved significant success, and someone had even booked a 5-star hotel for the event. Lucy grabbed my hand and hurried inside. Come on, they're going to have Tyler perform on the piano later. She pulled me along but suddenly stopped. I looked up, puzzled. What's wrong? Lucy forced a laugh. Oh, nothing. I just didn't expect Stanley to be here, and he brought Tina with him. Sure enough, I saw Stanley and Tina looking up at him from near the stage. Lucy explained, it turns out that today, besides inviting Tyler to play the piano, they also asked Stanley to perform a solo dance. This reunion is quite interesting, bringing together the two former heartthrobs. As the music began, Stanley danced gracefully, captivating everyone on stage. After his performance, the crowd erupted in applause. Lucy commented, "These people really know how to celebrate." They specifically invited Stanley to open with a dance, which has really energized the atmosphere. Stanley's performance wasn't bad, I admitted. He just has questionable taste. After his solo dance, Lucy and I searched for Tyler but couldn't locate him. We decided to find a table to sit down and have dinner. However, before we could, we bumped into Stanley and Tina, who were following closely behind him. Stanley noticed me, his eyes lighting up. "Gil, are you here to find me?" "I knew you couldn't forget about me," he replied. Tina stood behind Stanley, giving me a guarded look. I felt extremely bored. Why are these people so self-absorbed? I thought to myself, turning my head away coldly. I don't know you, so why would I come to see you? Actually, I came to see him. I pointed towards Tyler on stage, his slender fingers dancing over the piano keys as beautiful music filled the room. After 5 years, I saw Tyler again. He was as wonderful, elegant, and noble as I had imagined. Gil, why are you still being stubborn with me? You don't even know Tyler well enough to use him as an excuse to confront me, Stanley said, biting his lip and looking at me with resentment. I'm not being stubborn, I replied. Stanley, we really don't know each other, and I hope you won't bother me anymore. Lucy interjected, Exactly. Stop clinging to my best friend. You're not even acquainted with her. Stanley's expression darkened. Gil, are you really going to embarrass me like this? I was wrong about the engagement banquet, and I've already apologized. Why do you keep holding on to it? Tina stepped forward, taking Stanley's hand and standing protectively in front of him. If you want to blame someone, blame me. It was my mistake for getting in your way and making you the villain. You can punish me however you want, but please stop harassing Stanley. I couldn't take it anymore. I've already told you, I haven't been bothering him because I don't even know him. You two can do whatever you want, just don't come near me and cause trouble. My words clearly upset Stanley. Fine. Great, Gil. You're really something. If you don't know me, then you don't know me. I don't know you either. It's better if you never seek me out again, so I won't have to look down on you. With that, he grabbed Tina's hand and walked away. Lucy watched them go, clicking her tongue in disbelief. Stanley probably thought you were just having a disagreement, Gil. Maybe he never believed you truly forgot about him. I glanced at Tyler, who was shining in the crowd, and shrugged. Who cares? Who would want to deal with him? Let him think whatever he wants. He has nothing to do with me anymore. The class reunion felt like a mere formality. After Tyler finished his performance, the event lost its appeal for me. As an elite, Tyler was surrounded by many people. Lucy nudged me and asked if I wanted to go over and say hello. I shook my head. We're not even close. How could I casually approach Tyler, the almost godlike figure? I'm just an outsider admiring him from afar. Speaking to him or trying to connect was something I never dared to imagine. Lucy understood and went off to mingle with familiar classmates. I sat quietly in a corner, sipping my wine. Nearby, Stanley sat with Tina, seemingly intent on putting on a show for me. His cheerful laughter reached my ears once more, and I felt the urge to leave. Maybe I shouldn't have come today. It was too dull. As I was about to get up, a pleasant voice spoke from above. "May I sit here?" The voice sounded somewhat familiar. I looked up to see Tyler smiling down at me, his usually cold demeanor softened. In that moment, I was at a loss for words. I hadn't expected Tyler to approach me and start a conversation. "Gil, why didn't you come over to say hello earlier? Did you forget about me?" he asked. I quickly shook my head. Who could forget the name of someone as remarkable as Tyler? I just didn't realize you knew my name. Tyler smiled gracefully. "Of course I know you, Gil. We were both in the economics department and often saw each other at the library." I remembered seeing Tyler frequently at the library back then. "Yes, I did see you often. You always sat not too far from me, but you seemed so distant. I never dared to say hello." I noticed you enjoyed reading novels, especially detective stories like those by Edgar Allan Poe. Have you become a Sherlock Holmes now? Tyler teased, bringing back memories of my teenage years. It was true that I loved reading various detective novels and analyzing the complexities of the cases. I thought it was just a hobby, but it turned out he had noticed me without me realizing. I felt our distance close significantly. He was no longer the untouchable figure, but a handsome prince sitting beside me in the library. Although I didn't particularly enjoy going to the library, Tyler's persistence motivated me. Seeing how dedicated he was made me want to make the most of my own time and strive for excellence as well. Shared memories brought us closer. "I really liked you back then," I admitted. "You were so serious and diligent." Tyler looked at me thoughtfully. "I really liked you too, Gil." I couldn't help but smile, realizing that I should be expressing these feelings to him. Tyler was the most serious and hardworking individual in the entire library. Without seeing him regularly, I doubt I could have maintained my own discipline. I thought to myself, "You're so remarkable, yet you continue to push yourself." When I voiced my thoughts, Tyler became overjoyed. "Gil, so that's how you feel. I thought the same thing. I saw you coming in every day and couldn't afford to slack off either. Who would have thought we were motivating each other?" In that moment, we exchanged a knowing laugh, realizing that we had been inspiring one another all along. It felt like a strange twist of fate. Suddenly, Tyler exclaimed, and I turned to see Stanley standing behind him with a stern expression, holding an empty wine glass. Stanley had deliberately spilled red wine on Tyler, and I was furious. "Stanley, what are you doing?" Stanley's eyes flashed red. "Gil, I was wrong. Please come back with me. I won't leave you for anyone else." I looked at Stanley coldly. "You should be apologizing to Tyler, not me. How could you spill wine on someone else?" Stanley gritted his teeth and refused to apologize. "Tyler, do you know that Gil is my fiancé?" "What do you mean by getting close to him like this? Have you no shame?" Tyler responded gracefully, standing up and casually patting the wine stain on his clothes. "Fiancé means we're not married yet, so I have the right to pursue Gil." Stanley exploded with anger, reaching out to slap Tyler's face. I quickly grabbed his hand, looking at him with disgust. "Stanley, have you lost your mind? I don't know you. I'm not your fiancé, and we've never been engaged. Please stop bothering me. I have no feelings for you, and you've made a terrible impression on me." Stanley seemed to realize the truth, his body trembling as if he understood that my amnesia was genuine and that he was about to lose me forever. Unable to handle the blow, Stanley hurriedly left the scene. Tina, who had been following him, tried to support him, but he pushed her away. Undeterred, she continued to follow. Curious eyes turned towards Tyler and me. Not wanting to be treated like a spectacle, I took the initiative and asked, "Tyler, would you like me to take you back to the hotel?" Tyler smiled warmly. "I'd be delighted." I dropped him off at his hotel entrance. He stayed in the car but looked at me seriously. "Gil, what I said earlier was sincere." I was taken aback. "What do you mean?" Tyler's gaze softened. Then he looked at me firmly. "I want to pursue you, Gil. I like you." Coming back today made me realize that the youthful excitement is still there. "I hope you'll allow me to pursue you." As I looked into his eyes, I saw a reflection of myself. It felt like he saw only me. Maybe I could give this a chance. Almost instinctively, I nodded. His eyes sparkled like morning stars as he leaned in and gently kissed my cheek. At that moment, our skin touched, and my heart skipped a beat. "Gil, forgive me. I'm just so happy. Keep your phone nearby because I'm going to pursue you from now on." Tyler is truly a man of action. In the days that followed, he organized countless activities for us. Morning breakfasts, lunch dates, goodnight moments in the evenings. Every small romantic gesture between a couple unfolded between us. Experiences I had never had before. For the first time, I felt the true joy of being cherished and loved wholeheartedly. Falling in love with Tyler wasn't difficult. He was someone who deserved to be loved, and as the lucky one he had chosen, I couldn't resist his affectionate embrace. Soon enough, I introduced him to my parents. They adored Tyler immediately, smiles spreading across their faces as they welcomed him warmly throughout the meal. "Tyler, this beef is delicious. Try it," they offered, alongside prawns and red wine from his uncle's collection. Tyler accepted all the food graciously, his smile never fading. After the meal, I took Tyler for a walk outside the villa, holding his hand. "Were you overwhelmed by my parents' enthusiasm earlier?" Tyler shook his head. "Not at all. I loved it, Gil. It feels like home. I think our parents will get along well. Maybe it's time to arrange a meeting between them." I was about to respond when Tyler seemed a bit hesitant. I loved seeing him flustered, so I couldn't help but give him a kiss. The atmosphere was beautiful and intoxicating, but trouble always seemed to find a way. A shocked voice called out from the opposite side. "Are you two really together? Do you have no shame, Tyler?" I turned to face Stanley's resentful gaze, my brows furrowing. "What are you shouting about? Who are you and how dare you come here and insult my boyfriend?" Stanley stumbled for a moment before erupting. "I'm your fiancé, Stanley. How can you forget about me? How can you let any man come between us?" I scoffed. "Who says I can't forget about you, Stanley? I warn you, don't disturb my life anymore. Besides, Tyler isn't just any man. He's my beloved." I held Tyler's hand tightly, as if holding the world. Stanley suddenly laughed maliciously, staring intently at our joined hands. "Very well, Gil. You're certainly something else. I hope you never remember me and have no regrets." I smiled calmly. "Of course, I won't have any regrets. Tyler and I are getting engaged next month. If you don't mind, you're welcome to attend." Stanley's face paled instantly, and he spoke with determination. "Congratulations in advance to both of you, but I might not be able to attend because I'm also getting engaged to Tina." "Oh well, congratulations to you too," I replied. Stanley seemed stung by my words, stumbled for a moment, and then walked away. I wasn't lying. I truly wanted to build a family with Tyler. On a beautiful sunny day, we made our engagement official. Tyler's parents returned from overseas as he had mentioned, and both sets of parents got along splendidly, just as he had predicted. During the engagement ceremony, Tyler approached me in a pristine white suit. We exchanged our vows, and he held my hand tightly, never wanting to let go. During the ceremony, I noticed Stanley's parents watching curiously. I asked Lucy beside me, "Didn't Stanley say he was getting engaged today too? Why aren't his parents here?" Lucy scoffed. Stanley is out of his mind. I don't know what he sees in that woman. What can she do besides pretending to be sick all the time? She's just a discarded child from the Jones family. Stanley insisted on marrying her, and now the Smith family has kicked him out. Well, the Smith family has more than just him. Their second son is studying abroad and will be back soon. I nodded in understanding. So that's how it is. It seems like everyone in the Smith family, except Stanley, has their lives together. Tina, that cunning and calculating woman, is definitely not a good choice for a daughter-in-law. I really don't understand how such a good family like the Smiths could raise someone as foolish as Stanley. But those things aren't my concern. After all, I have a handsome man by my side and no time to worry about a stranger. We got married 3 months after our engagement. It seems Stanley was trying to keep up with us, as he also got married on the same day. Lucy informed me of all this, but I didn't pay much attention after our wedding. We went on a month-long vacation in the Maldives. Once our vacation ended, Tyler and I went abroad again. Tyler excelled in his job, and after discussing with both our families, we decided to open a branch of our company overseas to attract foreign business. As a result, we have been living abroad ever since. 3 years later, upon returning to our home country, we held our adorable little girl in our arms. Lucy rushed over immediately. "Let me see my niece." "She's so adorable," Lucy exclaimed, giving her a big golden ingot as a gift. Tacky, but heartfelt. When Tyler took our child to play, Lucy leaned in close and whispered mysteriously, "You know what? Stanley and Tina got divorced." I was surprised and asked, "Did Tina agree to divorce him?" Lucy chuckled. That woman is incredibly materialistic. She always thought the Smith family kicking Stanley out was just a joke, and that once they cooled down, they would let him back in. But they were serious. Stanley lost all his rights in the company. His shares were canceled, and he couldn't even access a single penny. He had to work to cover his living expenses. Tina only held on for a year before she couldn't take it anymore and initiated the divorce. During the divorce, Stanley almost went crazy, saying he lost Gil to Tina. How could she not want him? But Tina said that if it weren't for her being the Smith family's eldest son's wife, she wouldn't even bother with him. "He's nothing," she said. I laughed. "That's her true nature." Lucy nodded. "Yes, that woman has always been so materialistic. It's just that Stanley is too foolish to see through it. Mrs. Jones is such a ruthless woman, yet she couldn't even manage to get rid of her. Stanley is just too naive." "What happened to Stanley after the divorce?" I asked curiously. Lucy shook her head. "Stanley's heart was truly broken. On the day they finalized the divorce papers, he drove his car and crashed into Tina. I gasped, 'Did she die?' No, fortunately she didn't, but she was left disabled, both legs paralyzed." "That is tragic," I said. "She wanted to climb the social ladder but failed and ended up like this." "And what about Stanley?" Lucy clicked her tongue. "He intentionally harmed her and was driving under the influence. He's definitely done for, charged with intentional injury and DUI, sentenced to 10 years in prison. The Smith family was so angry they said they would disown him. It's truly disgraceful. He was such a shining person back then, one of our college heartthrobs. How did he end up like this? I can't understand. After all, I don't know him well. He's just a strange stranger. Maybe it was his own choice." At night, after soothing our sweet daughter to sleep, I turned over and nestled myself in Tyler's embrace. Tyler seemed a bit uncomfortable. "Don't our daughter need you right now?" I laughed. "I absolutely adore your shy demeanor. It's just a hug, nothing more." Tyler laughed as well. "What did you and Lucy talk about during the day?" I snuggled closer. "I told her that having you is wonderful. Choosing you was the best decision I've ever made." "Yes," Tyler replied softly. "I can't imagine how much misfortune I would have encountered in this lifetime if I had chosen someone else. Fortunately, I chose you." Tyler hugged me back and whispered, "Wife, I feel the same way."